Hi.
Got me a drink of water and it worked.
Finally.
Yep.
How are you doing today?
Oh, it's like in the 60s over here in Colorado, so that feels like the 80s over here. And got a lot of odds and ends done. And I watched Ric Flair, one of my favorite pro wrestlers, one of these interviews on YouTube. So feeling pretty good.
Nice. Okay, so I'll just give you a little introduction. This is my friend Gary Martinez Jr., and we will be talking about autism today and using nutrition as a treatment for autism. So, the first question I have to ask you is tell me about your daughter Monica, who has autism. How old is she? And when did you notice her first symptom?
Okay, so Monica is 18 right now. The girl wants to graduate next year, hopefully. We'll see what happens. And she was probably, I mean, the first thing I noticed was, well, there's a couple of things back then, was when she was younger, we'll just say like between 2 and 4, was that she wasn't making eye contact. She wasn't like turning her head when you call her name, those kind of simple things like that. And that she was basically like playing. She wanted to play all by herself, so she didn't want nobody else to play with her. She wanted to be like, isolated, uh, playing with whatever she was playing with. So those are right now like just a couple of quick things that I remember from back then. And that we weren't talking. We weren't talking yet. So that's another big one. We should have been talking, like around that 2 and up age right there.
Yeah.
That's probably one of the biggest ones right there.
Tell me about your volunteer work at Monica's school.
Um, so in her early years, well, even up until middle school, so from elementary to middle school, I would get calls sometimes from the school like, hey, Monica's having, like she's having a meltdown. Is there anything you can do? And I'll be like, can I go over there? They're like, yes. I was like, can I do something and bring some things? They're like, you can do whatever you want, buddy. So I would go down there to the elementary school was the first one where I started to do that. And I would give Monica like play breaks because we have sensory needs too. Our body and brain need to become best friends because we're in this unpredictable environment of school where there's smells, noises, lights, and all those kinds of things that are just too much for us. So I would go there and no shame in my game, I would take like dolls to the school, like Elsa and like that. And we would just go outside to the playground for about at least about 15, a good 15 minutes. And we would just play with Elsa. I would talk and be Elsa's voice. When I am Elsa or whatever character Monica likes, I'm no longer dad. So I can get away with saying whatever the heck I want. I could be sarcastic, as funny as I want, and she's just glued, focused, and zoned in on that character. So we'll say Elsa. And in the meantime, we're also swinging on a swing. So we're getting an activity for ourselves that gives us this body awareness to help that brain and body, like, become buddies at school because it's so crazy in there. So that would help out Monica a lot. Will make her like reset to like focus, relax, and calm down, give her like a little energy boost. So when she walks back into those school doors, she feels like herself. Now to answer your question, because I scatterbrained a lot, but
So do
so what
I.
I would do because of that is I was like, you know what? I just want to see what kind of how she's doing in her day-to-day adventure at school. So they will let me come to the school, and I remember the first elementary she went to, it was a different scenario where not everyone was on the same page helping our kids. So I went to, she was in kindergarten. Preschool was okay because the teachers were all in, but it was a little different in kindergarten. So we weren't getting the support that we needed. So I went to volunteer on this one day, And I noticed that all the special ed kids were all in the back of the classroom, like isolated. And there was only one older teacher there, this lady, I believe her name was Miss Jean, super nice lady, but it was too much for her, talk about overwhelming, to work with a big group of kids. So when I went there that day, I saw right away, oh my gosh, she needs some help because all these kids were just trying to do their own thing. Like I said, they're more or less isolated. Like the general kids were doing what the teacher was teaching, and us back here, we were just handed coloring pages and crayons, like, have fun. So these kids were trying to just process where they're at. And what I was doing during that day was just picking up crayons that were falling all over the floor, picking up papers, giving it back to these kids. But what they really wanted was just someone to listen to them. And Miss Jean was doing her best because she's just, she was one person making her rounds. But when I was in there that day, I was able to help out a little bit. So not only was I helping Monica where she just needed some one-on-one attention, but I was just like, okay, which coloring sheet do you want? Giving her options, and she would pick what she wanted. So she saw what she liked, and that's all they need is like a simple little direction right there. So then she picked out the colors that she wanted to color the picture. So that was kind of my routine going from kid to kid. Some kids, they just want you to listen to them. They need to talk to somebody because not a lot of people are good to give us, like um, just give us a time of day because we're a little bit different, but we everyone needs some attention. So my job that day was just to see how my daughter was doing, help her out, but also help out the kids in whatever way needed, which was either giving them crayons or those color sheets or to just having a little conversation with them. And you can see some of the kids they wanted you to talk to them, but they just didn't know how to get you to talk to them. So I would have to make like the first move, and I'm an introvert, but this is about them. So I would find like an icebreaker, like, oh man, that's a cool shirt. I like that picture, like if it was a cartoon or something, to like break the ice, make them smile a little bit to earn their trust and start to build that rapport. And then after that, everyone was pretty much talking up a storm, and we are having pretty much a good day. So that was one scenario with volunteering, and another one I want to bring up real quick was when Monica was at a different elementary school. Um, I went in there on that day and I saw her with her arms like this and her head was like down on the desk. There was like a group of 4 students together. The other 3 students were working on their assignment. They had like a tablet. They can do tablet or they can do it handwritten or whatever. Everyone was going to work and Monica was just like out of it, like asleep basically. So when I walked in, I saw her and I was like, oh man. And I told the teacher, I was like, can I take Monica out in the hall and help her, wake up and give her some activity? And she was like, sure. So I took Monica, so I woke her up and she was kind of like, where am I? And we went out into the hallway and we did like some activities. So I would put her on my back, give her a piggyback ride. We would walk the halls. I would tilt side to side to give her these other just information of input by just doing little turns, go in a circle like in one direction because we don't like going in both ways. And then I would pretend like we're like an amusement ride where I'll be like, I'm like tipping down forward and she's because I'm going slow so she can handle it, but she's liking it. She's like excited about it, and I'll make her like perhaps touch the floor so she would get another touch sensation for her. So that right there helped her wake up. And before that class finished, we were able to do at least, I don't know if it was 1 or 2, but we did either 1 or 2 problems of work versus 0 when I got there. So that was big for her. I remember we
That's
went to
great.
art class next. Art class is one of her favorite things to do is to draw, you know. But the teacher was giving more like a lecture, so it was kind of boring. And I could see Monica like starting to fall asleep. So that I would walk to her and start to give her some massage techniques to kind of keep her awake. And then I'll finish with this. The next class was the best class. It was PE. So we went into PE and everything just changed. Like that teacher was like so positive energy, so energetic. All the kids loved being in that class. You can tell they were happy. They were all talking and the teacher was engaging with them. And that's what Monica needed. So when she walked in there, she was awake, and he was like, "Hey, Monica," and talking to her, like, "How's it going, girlfriend?" and stuff like that. And I right away I was like, "Boom, that's what she needs." One of the biggest things she needs is the right energy to give her that time of day, to accept her for who she is, and to just modify the activities so she can participate too. And he was like, "Okay, Monica, you go do." He just gave her like one thing to do, and she was engaging in the whatever they were playing that day. And he pulled me aside, and we had a little powwow. He was just such a cool person, down to earth, and I just told him thank you, thank you, thank you. And we had like a nice rapport. So those are like two little two little deals on just some volunteering when I would go sometimes to Monica's school to help her out.
Was the school directly for special needs or?
No, the first one I talked about, that preschool one, no, because most of the schools aren't really, it's rare to find like a program for special needs like autism.
Mhm.
Yes, we were in the special education room, but you know, as far as getting like specific help, like if a kid needs like occupational therapy, that's school did have that room, but I didn't really see it used. And plus, I know that a lot of those therapists come in very, very part-time, like once a week, 1 hour or something like that. So no, none of them were like specifically like geared towards like autism or something like that. It was just special ed rooms that you're staying there for an amount of time, and then if you're, I guess if you progressing up and show that progress, and they will gradually mainstream you into
A
different
regular class. Okay.
regular classroom subjects.
Mhm. Okay. So tell me about your business, Simple Fitness Autism. What exactly do you do?
Okay, so it was a different name before, and I just changed it within the last couple of years, even though I was working with this population. So for me, I'll give you a little quick backstory. So I became a fitness trainer in 2012. I started working at the YMCA. I worked there for 2 years. I was I got infatuated with silver sneakers, which is like working with older people where maybe they can't do all these big machines out on the floor, but you work in a little group class room where
Mhm.
you use like a sponge ball or like a resistance band, something that's lighter on the body, and we can do everything they do out there. So that fascinated me as it was something different that anyone can do. So even if someone has an injury, you don't necessarily have to be an older person. Someone from rehab will come into that class to still get exercise. So I brought that over to later when I ventured out 2014 on my own as an independent trainer because I wanted to work now with older adults, and then later came autistic people. So Simple Fitness Autism, I just changed the name recently, but I've been working with one of my clients who's autistic since about 2014. So it's been 10 years. And for me, it's just working with our population where it's the same thing. We're working out for like 1 hour, but we just got to see where we're at on our fitness journey, and if we got to just do exercise a different way. So, like for example, one of my clients, he's funny, and our warm up isn't usually like start right away with all these stretches. It's like we just walk around the gym 2 times talking, and I get to find out what's the latest and greatest things that are important to his life. And so I just listen to the conversation, and it's basically we do that, then we stretch, and then we do our workout, but we're having a conversation at the same time, so it's fun. So um, it's just the same thing, training a person, but a little different where we may need to have conversations during our workout. I work out with them, whatever it takes to help them feel comfortable to do the workout. So basically, it's just like modifying, meeting your needs as far as to get the person to work out, have a good time, and yeah, so that's pretty much it.
Do you offer nutritional support as well?
Um, I don't have nutritional services, but when people ask me about nutrition, um, I just basically tell them like there's a source that I follow, and I to say if you want to find out whatever you want to about nutrition, that's who I use. So, or just tell them, the name of the resource and that they can go check it out and explore it for themselves.
You can say the name.
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. So the name is the medical medium, and if you want a
I'm
quick
all for
back,
it.
if you want a quick backstory on that, or give it to you. Um, so September of 2019, I had a friend who moved from Florida to Colorado. Um, Her son was also autistic, and she brought up the medical medium during our conversation because we were talking about health and all that kind of stuff. And she was like, there's like a chapter in the book for autism and ADHD. So I was curious because I was always curious to just self-education, to always be learning about ourselves. So I checked it out and I started to read the books and follow him on social media and all those places that he's at. And then I started to just implement some of the foods that were mentioned in the chapter, and just to keep it simple, because we need to do something like one thing first before we move on. And just over that time to currently, we're basically at our healthiest. We don't really get sick at all from foods because we've learned like what foods are troublemakers that we may want to stay away from. And we're just it's helped a lot for Monica, reducing like hyperactivity, um, just by you know changing some foods or taking some out, because we knew that's like a trigger for kids, hyperactivity with some foods. Our energy has increased. Our immune system, like I said earlier, is stronger, so we don't get really sick that much anymore. And also, I learned that one of the biggest things that it helped Monica focus more. So in school, she was starting to engage more with students, wanted to be like
More
like a buddy
social?
to, yeah, like more social. And she was even helping out the kids who needed more support, like kids in a wheelchair or have like a feeding tube, stuff like that. She kind of like gravitated towards them.
That's
And I
sweet.
think, and I feel like it's because she has challenges in life. So she
Yeah.
knows how it is, and she knows how it is when she overcomes things to give back. So naturally, she's a thoughtful person. So she gives back by, being a friend and talking to them and those sorts of things.
Well, that's great. You know how passionate I am
Mhm.
about medical medium information. It's helped me a lot. So you have answered some of my other questions, but I'm just going to run through them. Um, tell me about the books that you've written.
Oh man, I don't know if I can remember them all
You don't have
offhand,
to name them
but
all, but just what
but
what is the basis
yeah.
for your books?
Yeah, so my first book is probably like a book because it's over 100 pages, it's like about, I don't know, 130 some or something like that. So that was I just spoke about giving back. So I wanted to give back because we struggled a lot in the early years. Like first of all, I didn't know what autism was in the beginning. I didn't know what sensory processing disorder was, any of that. So I was useless, helpless while my daughter was having meltdowns. She couldn't talk. So when I started to learn things, what can help us with all kinds of things, I was like, you know what? I think I want to write a book and kind of share what has helped us, and maybe some of those things can spark ideas for other parents to see what can help them. So basically, that first book was kind of like just sharing kind of like what to expect as a new parent to somebody who is autistic, of what you may go through as far as interventions you may start out in the early stages, what kind of resources are out there. Um, and then I had like some contributors in the book. I had a nutritionist in there. I had a occupational therapist, I believe, in
Yeah, you
there.
said that was before medical medium.
Yeah,
You found medical medium, right?
yep. I had a music therapist in there. I did the fitness part, so I just wanted to share different like natural ways to help our kids without like any side effects. And I
Hmm.
had our lens therapy professional in there who helps out with the brain. Um, so that's all in the book, and then also the star of the show is Monica. So just kind of sharing her journey of how she growing up, some things that were challenges for her and how she overcame overcame things and like and how we did that, and just showing like some progression through that, so it can give the parents hope and to know that, sometimes reading something like reading a book or a podcast or being on a live like this, you can learn a lot in a short amount of time, and it can help you figure out like a direction you may want to start with to help out your own kid and your own family.
Yeah, that's great. I know I've read some of your first book, and I enjoyed reading it. I have to finish it.
And then some of the other
And I
books,
want to continue to read them,
yeah.
because I'm passionate about this, this population for sure.
And so I
Um,
can make sure I give you the value is like some of the other books, they're more like almost 30 pages or less, because I wanted these books coming out now just to be like a short read, like a kind of like just sharing a short piece of our journey. Like we have play characters in our world, and just to kind of share how that's important to us in our day to day, that we do that role playing and storytelling like all throughout the day, and it helps us with transitions, like going from home to a place, like to the park or to
that's
the
great.
grocery store or
I
to
love
school.
play therapy.
That if you just repeat as much as you want something that's important to your kid, it helps open the doors to make the rest of the day more helpful. Because in the beginning, like in my book, um, we followed a template with occupational therapy. Like we wanted to do all these things on this list. But I later learned from one of the therapists, like once you got that down, she was like, just frisbee that list, because you're gonna know it, and you're gonna know that you just need that as much as you want, so you don't have to schedule it in like you were in the beginning. That way it's not overwhelming for the person. So we've progressed and evolved throughout the years.
That's great. I'm a writer myself. I need to get my books out too.
Yeah, got it.
But yeah,
Got to
I
get it.
can't wait to read more of your books. Um, I've seen some of the videos, clips, of you and Monica, um, and you doing your little, skits. I think it's great.
That's funny because it also, she wants to do those things, and it also leaves a paper trail. So it's like it's always good to be there, whatever platform that's at. So sometimes she'll just, Dad, let me see your phone real quick. Let me go on your TikTok, and she'll go right to that video she wants to watch of whatever skit we did, and she'll
Hmm.
just watch it. And in that moment, 1 minute video, whatever, however long it is, it just helps her focus. Like it's a broken record. Focus, relax, calm down, feel good, be in the moment, and it's, most of all, she's happy. So
And
that
those
carries
are great
over.
memories.
That carries over to the rest of the day. That she may be happy for the whole rest of the day. It may go into the next day, the next week, the next month. Just like when someone has a meltdown, there's like after effects. It could be done the main part when it happens, but then you can get like after effects that go on and on and on. So we make sure we do a lot of our special interest as much as possible, so we can see how long that helps us in our day, and just find the next one we got to do.
It's great. So, let's see. Based on your expertise in this area, what are the key factors that you believe are contributing to autism and the symptoms?
Um, so from reading from that book with the medical medium, his first book, he has uh, um, all kinds of things he talks about as far as autism, and then just learning um, about the heavy metals that a lot of autistic people, those heavy metals are just blocking a lot of our parts of parts in our brain from us developing, and also it's making other parts of the brain act like now versus later in life, like they're not supposed to come into play until like later, and that most of those heavy metals are like right in the middle of the brain. And I have a lot of that chapter memorized. So basically, like it says in the chapter, is like the left and right hemisphere. In the middle it's open, when you're under the age of 18, and that's where we're supposed to dream and all those kinds of things, have dreams. But once it closes when you're 18, then it's harder. It makes it harder to get out the metals from the brain, but it's still possible. You just got to
Yeah,
keep doing your thing. So just said there's a lot of heavy metals is pretty much the
they're everywhere.
stuff there. They're everywhere, and they're like the big culprit for what happens to our kids being autistic. Heavy metals.
I firmly believe that, and I mean, as someone who has taken environmental biology, you know, it's clear that, you know, air fresheners, colognes, perfumes, um, cleaning products, you know, all of these things are detrimental to anyone's health, let alone someone who has autism.
Yeah. So, learning about a lot of that, what you're just saying right there, I've taken a lot of that stuff out of the household because I didn't think about that when I was younger growing up. Like, oh, dang, man, that chemical, whatever that is, that thing is powerful. And you feel it go right to your brain and it hurts for a while, like a headache comes on
Brain
and even
fog.
from that headache, other things can come out of it, other symptoms, happening in your body may give you like an upset stomach or anything. I'm like, wow, I wish I knew that back then, and I would have been able to take some of those things out and perhaps prevented some simple symptoms of every day that we get from things like that. So it was good to know that information and to share it with people now that I know it, and goes back to that giving back thing because we want to be healthy and we don't want to struggle in our life. So it's good. It's really good to know that information.
Absolutely. Let's see. So you already answered my question about um, changing Monica's diet,
Uh-huh.
helping reduce her symptoms. Um, did natural supplements play a role in helping Monica?
Yeah, so we do use that Vimergy brand that the medical medium likes to talk about in his videos or writes about. It's just knowing that it's good that there's someone else out there looking out for people in general, compassionately, that will that will go through all those lengths to find a good supplement company that can help us out because we know, well, I've learned that, you can't get everything from foods. The majority you can, yes, but then we do need some supplements to help as far as things that the body lack, and that we're getting a good supplement that doesn't have a lot of junk or toxic chemicals in it, because then we're not really getting the help that we want. We're just under the spell of the media of what they try to portray that is healthy and put on labels and stuff. But I've learned that, you know what, you got to turn that beautiful picture that they paint on the front of all these products, whether it's supplements, whatever, and you got to look at the ingredients to see if it's really good, or if you catch something that shouldn't be there that you don't want going into your body in the first place because it doesn't belong there, and just doing your homework. So for medical medium to share that Vimergy line is a life changer, and again, it's just helped us out with our immune system, and just just clockwork every day, like putting on your shoes. We take our supplements.
Do you believe that processed food with artificial colors and flavors can contribute to symptoms in children with autism or anybody with
I
autism?
know that, just in real life, I see like let's say we years ago we ate like a candy with some of those red colors, red dyes, or whatever ingredients that you're talking about too. Like let's just say they're all in that a candy, and we ate
Yeah,
it. That we noticed like shortly after we're really hyper,
yeah.
and that was one thing that we were really hyper. Um, and it's not her fault because she's already going through enough from the environment, period. So when you notice those things and you learn about it, yeah, definitely, uh, repeat your question real quick so I can make sure I answer it
You
completely.
you agree that the processed food with artificial colors, flavors, and chemicals contribute to symptoms with people who have autism?
The process stuff. Um, I haven't read that part of it contribute also like heavy metals, but I do
But
think
if you're noticing, that your daughter is getting hyper after eating something like that, then I think that that's definitely not helping, you know?
yeah, yeah. So it's not helping. Yeah, that sounds easier for me to to word it. So they're not helping. It's definitely a red flag when
Yeah,
you have something like that and you see what the result is. So I know that's something to stay away from. So yeah, I would definitely say those are troublemakers, and it's just good information to know and to share with people who are open to learning about things like that, you know.
yeah, for sure. I don't know how much time we have left. Did you look at the clock?
Oh, you're on
When
a
we
timer?
started?
No, you're
Um,
you're you're on Facebook, so there is no timer on you, so you can
really?
just yeah, there's no timer. So you are good.
So, can you just tell me some of the fruit and vegetables that were helping Monica?
Yeah, and I'll give you a +1 to that. So a quick backstory with foods for us. So first of all, we were very picky in the beginning as eaters because with our sensory processing disorder, um, we're real picky because of like there's got to be like a texture or a taste that we're perhaps attracted to.
Mhm.
And I know a lot of kids um, who are autistic were attracted to like those damn chicken nuggets because of what's inside those chicken nuggets, and
Processed, yeah.
processed and the list goes on. So we're like attracted to that. It's like an adrenaline thing. It's makes us feel good. It skyrockets us for a second, and then it crashes. So yeah, those foods like that right there, definitely are a trigger. And repeat the question again so I can.
Oh, I just wanted to know what fruit and
Okay,
vegetables helped Monica.
okay, man. So okay,
No, it's
so I'm a little
okay.
scatterbrained.
I'm glad that you discussed that kids with autism are picky. A lot
So
of children are, but especially children on the spectrum.
yes, yes. So, yep, thanks for reeling me back in. So basically, I wanted to touch on that first because we're attracted to different things like texture and taste
Yeah.
that attract us. And then we did add back then, we had these little mini bags of like celery sticks, and we didn't know the value of celery back then, but
Yeah.
it was the texture, the crunchy taste, like chips. Chips are another crunchy thing that we're attracted to.
Hmm.
Um, so the way we started to open up and eat different things was I had to get creative. And I laughed at the chapter of medical medium in that chapter for autism and ADHD because he was talking about being creative to help your kids like fluently be open to trying something, not forcefully, but fluidly. And I did that years ago before I even read that book. So it was cool to know that there's other people like that on the same page. So what I did was, we live in that 24/7 pretend world. That's our life. Those characters are real to us. I was like at that time I was like, how can I help us eat a different food to try that out? Like step one. And I was like, okay. At that time, Alice from Alice in Wonderland was one of our favorite characters. So I was like, Alice. So I was like, Monica, I'm going to eat this yellow banana for Alice because she has beautiful blonde hair and I want it to be healthy and strong forever. So I ate it and you know, Monica trusts me because she knows I'm down for all her characters. What she likes, I like. So she knows I'm telling the truth and that I really want to help Alice, and I really do because that's one of our buddies right there. So shortly after that, Monica said, "Me too." And in our world, on our journey, that is a huge step when our kids try something new. So
Oh,
she
of
had that
course. Yeah.
first bite of banana. So banana would be like the first fruit that we tried. And then that open up doors to, you know what, Monica was like, I want to eat something else for these characters. So like, for example, Apple's red and the character Mulan wears like a red dress. Um,
Mm-hmm.
let's see, purple, or we'll say wild blueberries, and she'll eat that for, I'm trying to think who has a purple dress, but it's for a character, you know. So everything we eat is for a character. Celery's green. We eat that for, we'll say, grass outside. So it's not even necessarily people, but it's things that are important to us in life, you know, like places outdoors. So
Didn't you
that,
say oranges were, I thought you had said something about Cinderella.
yep, that can
I don't remember.
be for Cinderella, but it also could be for Anna because Anna has more of an orange color hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, oranges can be, and sometimes that one fruit can be for different characters. So we're never
Mm-hmm.
wrong. I'm eating orange today for Anna, you know, and maybe tomorrow it could be for Cinderella. But yeah, so we eat foods that are healthy, and she does it for her characters, or we do it because we do it together. We eat all these foods together for these characters, and at the same time, Monica knows, Dad, I'm healthy. I'm so healthy because I'm eating these, and it's doing me good. I'm not getting sick. I'm not getting no pimples. So she's into her health and into her appearance. So those are some basic fruits that we eat and vegetables.
It's good to get involved too. I think that helps with the process when parents are getting involved and involving their children um, in the process as well. You know, what are we going to make for dinner? You know, what do you want for a snack? Let's
Exactly.
see. You did say you noticed improvement in like cognitive ability, you know, more concentration when Monica was eating healthier.
Yeah. With what we eat now, yeah, it's been a life changer as far as like you said, just being able to focus more on whatever it may be, a task at home or a task at school. Yeah.
And do you believe that both children and adults with ASD would benefit from a health intervention using nutrition as a treatment?
Um, yeah, I believe anyone who's curious about, what, I wanna feel better and be healthier, then absolutely just learning from an expert who knows about foods and herbs and those sorts of things. Um, Definitely will save them time, worth the investment, and can definitely help out, the whole as a family, so everyone can be healthier, happier, and to just, you know, feel feel at their best, feel their best, so they can just um, have a better day each day.
Hmm. Do you believe that most parents would be open to such interventions?
Um,
I know it's a lot of
Not
work.
each, yeah, because I'm not each parent to speak on their behalf, but I mean, I think they will be open to, any parent's always open to learning, something that can help their kids. I think it's just like the way somebody presents the topic.
Yeah.
Like, here's some free information on some foods that can help with perhaps more energy, for example, and kind of go down the road like that, where it's just it's a simple topic, and share the information so they can learn, and then they can decide and make their choices and see what they want to do, and just to keep it like simple, like my little thing is simple like a pimple saying. That way you start out slow, you're not overwhelmed, and then when you're ready for the next thing, maybe they start out, oh, okay, I'm going to eat this one fruit, we're going to start with this one fruit per week, and then after a month they're like, okay, I think we're ready to check out something next on our list, or wherever that information is at.
Yeah, it's always good to start slow, you know, because that has more effects on long-term results. you know, as opposed to trying to go too fast. But, you know, if we're speaking about children with autism, you almost have to go slow, you know.
Yeah. And I
And
think,
with anybody who's trying to change their diet, it's not an overnight
and
process.
that's like, for me, it's the hardest thing for me was to change, add, or take out foods was the hardest thing because I grew up eating like trash. Man,
Me too.
I ate everything, every type of dessert. I didn't know back then, I didn't know what I knew now because I just ate so much of everything that it just tore me up. I was like, dang, I wonder why am I feeling like this? I just didn't know back then.
Yeah.
But I think that's the hardest thing is because like with a lot of the commercials growing up, they're telling you that this and this is so good for you. And then when you learn later down the road in life, like actually, you know what? That wasn't even good for me. It's just something that I know that the industries, they want to make a lot of money.
Hmm.
So they don't, let's see here. Black screen, where are you? I will send you a text. Your screen is black. Okay. Okay, your screen is still black.